All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Bold Statements, Not So Bold Predictions, where we've got receipts. It's our first live show. It's season opening show. It's the eve of the season happening a few days. I'm excited, man. I'm your host, Keith Cork, along with my fellow Bulls enthusiast and co-host, Mr. Trey Hill. How you doing today, Trey, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for the season to get started. The Bulls had a good preseason, so it's always good.
Yeah, man, I've been really enjoying watching those games. And we're joined today by a couple of truly special guests. Everyone, welcome Mr. Stan Sun from over at Razzball and my fellow hoopballer, Steven Bagell from the NBAgell Podcast and his new podcast on the Hoopball Network, guys. Go check it out, Bird Rights. Welcome, both of you. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Honored to be here, man. It's great company.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I was just telling Trey this is my first ever live pod, so I'm excited to be here and talk some basketball with you guys.
Yeah, man, my first live pod too, honestly. So a little nervous, guys. Pardon any hiccups out there, but we'll get it figured out. Son, why don't you walk us through, man? I mean, I know you from Razzball, but I know you have your iron in the fire in a bunch of different places, man. What do you got going on as far as projects go for this NBA season?
So I'm also writing for Fantasy Lads and DraftKings. So just touching on a bunch of sports over there. I started writing over at Razzball, so I'm the guy over there. I've brought on a bunch of new writers, so my actual involvement, like writing, because I used to hammer out just a bunch of articles. So now that I got a bunch of guys, writing, like they're taking a lot of work over, so I'm more of kind of like just managing and just doing a lot of like preseason stuff. But yeah, man, I'm super excited for this season. Trey, now Bulls look good, man. I really love the additions, man. They look good.
Yeah, we've been talking on this show for a while, man, about how the Bulls are just like they're better defensively than anyone gave them credit for, and offensively they're just like poof. It's like
I mean, they got the guy Caruso, so
yeah. Your guy Caruso. Right?
Caruso.
Don't want to leave you out, Steven, man. Why don't you tell us what you got going on this NBA season? I know we mentioned a few pods, but tell us a little bit about your background, what you got going on this season.
So, as Keith said in his introduction, I am the host of the NBAgell Podcast. That's been going on for this is going to be my third season with that podcast now. I just recently started a podcast on the Hoopball Network called Bird Rights. Bird Rights, I'm trying to focus more on the front office and salary cap aspect of the NBA, where the NBAgell is just more a general basketball podcast. I haven't yet dipped my toes into the water in regards to any writing gigs. I recently graduated law school in 2020, so I'm still in the process of taking and studying for the bar exam for multiple states, PA and Delaware right now. So because of that, I haven't really had a writing opportunity that I've been able to have time for on top of the two podcasts. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to grow with the Hoopball Network. We haven't had the official launch for Bird Rights yet. I'm going to release one more episode this week, and then we'll have the official launch for it. But you guys can definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, you got to go through that grind of getting the little promos or the premieres out there so that Dan can look it over and make sure it's all good. But no, man, I'm excited. Actually, the salary cap, it's really interesting to me because I was doing an NBA 2K league, which I told a few people about. It's since folded, so unfortunately I'm not doing it anymore. But we were trying to basically just assemble a team in NBA 2K and then have it just basically simulate the games and see how we did. And there was a lot of crap I didn't know about trading and the NBA salary cap that I had to get really well versed on. So I'm excited to tune in, man, and check that out. But yeah, guys, BSBP, Bold Statements, Not So Bold Predictions. In case you guys haven't heard yet, everyone gets to play, man. Son, Steven. You've both been loaded up with 100 creds, which is the starting point for everyone who comes on the show. You're going to use those 100 creds to place wagers on NBA game outcomes, player props, futures, and much, much more. And don't forget that you can get one BS call each show. So if you disagree with somebody, use it and make a bet with that person about whatever they're talking about. I know you guys probably don't have the air horn on your phones. Just let me know. I'll play that little sound bit for you. But Trey, Son, Steven, and I, obviously, guys, we're all fully credible right now because nothing's happened yet. The stinking season hasn't started. We are so antsy, but just in a few short days, we're going to have some NBA basketball again. And speaking of that, we have a few bets that will get resolved in the next few days, Mr. Trey. Let's recap some of the bets here. Actually, we've got two of them here. I've personally got one for Mr. Ben Simmons. playing his first game in 21-22 for the Portland Trailblazers. I got that at plus 1,000 odds. I'm not feeling so confident about that anymore. What do you guys? Anyone have any guesses as far as like if it's not the Sixers, which team Ben might play for?
I guess I'll start, given that I'm the Sixers fan in the room, and I'm actually a season ticket holder who currently can't sell a game to save my life. No wrong with Ben Simmons. I can't even sell the home opener against the Nets right now.
Oh, geez.
So, reports coming out of Philly, there was a lot of speculation that it was going to be Minnesota originally.
Mm-hmm.
So back in, I would say, the end of August, I actually put, I think it was plus 1,200 when I put Minnesota to be the first game he played for, or the first team he played for. Now there's a lot of reports from Keith Pompey, he works for the Philadelphia Inquirer, that Indiana is the team most engaging the Sixers, involving, Malcolm Brogdon, Chris LeVert, something like that. But I say that because if it's not going to be the Sixers, I would say it's Indiana. But he did practice with the team today. Doc Rivers did come out with a statement. So it's starting to look like after all this, he's going to be back with the team and he's going to play in some capacity.
And we're glad to have you here, man, because obviously, we're not Sixers fans, so we don't have that inside knowledge. I do follow Keith Pompey. He's a great guy to follow if you want Sixers news. But obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about Ben Simmons later in the show. We're going to actually go through some trade scenarios here, so you'll be a good guy to bounce that off of. But also, Mr. Trey, you and I are both on Bulls at minus 2.5, the spread over the Pistons. We think they're going to, just crush this young Pistons team. And actually that line has moved to -3 now. So we did create a little bit of value there. But I'm feeling pretty good about that, man. But hey, Steven, son, did you guys get a chance to look at our wager tracking sheet before you got on the show?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
okay.
So did I.
Cool. Did you guys see anything that you might want to ride with us, or anything that you think is just totally bullshit? I mean, just call us out if you think so, man. Son, let's start with you, man. What do you like on there?
Yeah, I was really liking the Chicago one over Detroit. The Bulls, they beat them by 3, 14, 12 points last year. They're a much improved team with Ball, DeRozan, and, our guy, Caruso. Pistons are super young. The guy got Cade. It is kind of interesting, right? It's a home opener, so you're right. You never know how that's going to work for Detroit. They may be super amped, so I'm a little surprised the spread is that low. Gets my antennas up a little bit, but I just think that they're just a better team, more complete team. So I really like that one. In terms of the best year, I think I saw. Wait, did you guys have Bucks? What?
I think
Bucks home or
no, not yet. I don't think so. We haven't placed that one yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so I saw the Jalen Green under 20 points per game average, and then the Jaren Jackson Jr. to have more most improved votes than MPJ. I'm taking the under. I'm smashing the under on the Jalen Green. 20 points. Since StatHead's been keeping track of stats, 1948 George Mikan. There's only been 45 rookies, to average at least 20 points per game.
Yeah.
You got KPJ, Christian Wood. They're both going to have usage rates in the 26% range. Mm-hmm. So he's just not going to have enough opportunity, to get to that level. That's a massive number. And then the JJJ one, he's just coming from a lower place than where MPJ is. MPJ broke out last year. So the room for him to grow is very limited. So in terms of the risk reward, there's more room for regression than for actual improvement. Because MPJ was amazing last year, right? Whereas Jaren Jackson Jr., he missed a lot of games, so he's out of the consciousness of a lot of people's minds. Injuries have really derailed his career, and so the upside. You saw what he's been doing in the preseason. Just the spread between where he's coming from to where he can be is just so much more massive that I just think that just gives him a better chance for MIP votes.
Well, I like that. Those are both my calls, so I'm liking that right in there. Obviously, no, JJJ's look fantastic in the preseason, man. So I'm really hoping that plays out for me. And obviously, he doesn't need to win; he just needs to get more votes for MIP than MPJ does, because that's a bet between Trey and I. So, Steven, what did you like, man? You like anything? You think anything's just completely off?
I do like the Bulls -2.5 over the Pistons. I don't like when a bet seems too easy.
Right.
I mean? It seems like it's like a trap. Vegas is begging you to take Bulls 2.5.
Yeah.
But I have no reason. I think Detroit's just about they're a bottom 4 team in the league down there
Yeah.
with Orlando, OKC, and Houston probably.
Mm.
So it's going to be tough to bet a team that bad ever again for Detroit. So I definitely like that one. The one that intrigued me the most, though, was the Nets will score more points per game than the Trailblazers. I think the Nets offense is going to be historically good.
Mhm.
I mean, they just added Cam Thomas, so even if Kyrie Irving doesn't play this year, they still have Kevin Durant and James Harden, who are 2 of the best offensive players of all time.
Yeah.
They're adding the all-time leading scorer at Oak Hill Academy, which is nothing to scoff at, and Cam Thomas. I mean, just the way they have a great offensive mind and Steve Nash at the helm. I don't believe D'Antoni is still there, is he? I think he left. I'm not sure.
That's a good question. I'm not sure where D'Antoni is now. I think he's on.
I know
someone's
he was
coaching
with Brooklyn
staff.
last year. I don't know. I know he took a few interviews,
Hmm.
but and there's my brother-in-law commenting right now.
Nice.
But yeah, so I definitely like that Brooklyn. I don't think any team could, keep pace with that offense.
Yeah.
And then the one more I like, I'm going to agree with Son here on the MPJ receiving more votes than Jaren Jackson Jr. for most improved player. Because, and again, I am a huge Jaren Jackson fan. Like, on my big board, I think I had him number 2 behind Luka that year. Like, I love him. He's one of my favorite players. But I have MPJ taking such a big jump this year. I actually, just before I came on here, recorded my season preview for the NBAgell, and I have MPJ making an all-NBA team.
Yeah.
I think when Jamal Murray comes back, he's going to distinctly and clearly be the number 3 on this team behind Jokic and MPJ. That's a big jump I think MPJ makes.
Yeah, I can't call BS there because I totally see it happening, man. Mr. Trey, though, quite a few people on my side of these bets, man. How you feeling about all that?
Well, I mean, last time we had a guest, he was on my side, so it makes
Well, that's my
sense.
brother. He doesn't freaking count, man. He's an idiot.
It makes sense that you picked people that were going to side with you. But
I did handpick these guys, anyways. No, that's great, guys. And just for all you guys out there listening and watching, we're getting these odds off of MyBookie, which is it's simply the best sportsbook around, guys. If you guys don't play there, I definitely suggest it. You can play it anywhere, hassle-free deposits, and then you can go. Enjoy their fully fledged casino platform. They offer lines and props across all sports, and if you sign up and enter the promo code HOOPBALL, that's HOOPBALL, you get your first deposit matched halfway up to your first $1,000. So, guys, you put in $1,000, you get an extra $500. And right now, guys, guess what? You get a 100% guaranteed bet on the sportsbook. You can't find this many places, but courtesy of MyBookie, right now you can put a maximum bet of $25 on their lock of the season bet. And guys, if any team scores. That's right. Any team scores in a basketball game in the Nuggets versus Mavericks game, you win, and it's plus 100 odds. So it's a free $25. So go get it. MyBookie, sign up, use that promo code. But no, I know I've been. I'm not sure if you guys listened to the previous shows, but I know Trey has been with me, and I've been pretty reticent to talk about this guy, Mr. Ben Simmons, because I think he's being a prima donna. I think this whole situation is just a freaking mess. But now we're going to open up the floodgates. We're going to talk about this guy because obviously he showed up during a preseason game, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Didn't announce it, didn't tell anybody. I guess from what I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but Mr. Elton Brand had to actually open the door for him to get him come into the facility. And then he had a COVID test and passed it. So it's looking like he might rejoin the team. But we did get some news here from, I think it's Jake Fisher over at wherever he writes at. Okay. But he did say that there are some teams that are still interested in Mr. Ben Simmons. They say Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, Indiana, Minnesota, Portland, and Sacramento, San Antonio, and Toronto. So that's 8 teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 teams here that are still interested in Mr. Ben Simmons. So what I had you guys do before we jump down here is go to our Mr. ESPN trade machine and find some trades that worked. And obviously, as I was saying before we started this thing, man, some of these ESPN trade machine trades are just absolutely silly and laughable. So feel free to take this with a grain of salt, guys. But Mr. Trey, you haven't been talking too much recently. How about you start us off, man? Who do you see for Cleveland? Do you see any good trades there?
The obvious one to me is that's why they've kept Kevin Love around, is they're hoping they can use his contract to get Ben Simmons. So I've got Kevin Love and Colin Sexton, plus throw in some unprotected firsts for Ben Simmons. It works in the trade finder. They get a point guard. They get a guard that can replace the guard minutes from Simmons. Kevin Love's a big who can shoot, so he can at least stretch the floor around Embiid if they would happen to keep him. That's what I've got for Cleveland.
Okay, and I mean, obviously Cleveland, Kevin Love, we have to question whether or not he's still got it, right? I mean, he hasn't really played a ton of minutes for them since he has basically been shut. I mean, he's been like half shut down. It's kind of weird. It's weird that he's even still on that team. So, anyone else got a good one for Cleveland?
Well, I thought, for me, I mean, the Sexton one does make sense, but I kind of thought that Garland would have to be in that package because I just don't think Morey's going to, because it seems like, he wants an all-star, right? Or he wants a prospective all-star, so he kind of nuked the Indiana Pacers one when he said, he's not really interested in Brogdon, LeVert. The San Antonio one, he said he's not really feeling Dejante Murray. So, if he's nixing those type of trades, then, I agree. Love is the centerpiece of that because of the contract. He's making over $31 million. So yeah, I mean, I could see Sexton too, but I kind of lean towards. I feel like Garland has to be in that package with Love.
Yeah, I just don't know if Cleveland wants to give up on Garland. I'm not sure if they want to.
I agree.
I don't see it. So, and I think part of the reason I wanted us to go through this exercise is like we've got this news that 8 teams are interested in Ben Simmons still, or they're inquiring. But, what does that exactly mean? I mean, you can call somebody and say, hey, is Ben Simmons still available? Yeah, okay, that's inquiring. So it's like, well, when you actually look at and dig into what these teams have to give for him, it's like not a whole lot of things work out. But I do have one that kind of interested me. And this is a 3-teamer, actually. And I've got it's the Cavaliers, the Sixers, and the Rockets. And I've got the Cavaliers are getting Ben Simmons and Seth Curry. Sixers are getting John Wall and Colin Sexton. And the Rockets are getting Kevin Love, Shake Milton, and they're also going to get Houston's going to get Cleveland's first-round pick in 2026, which is a top 14 protected. In this scenario, also Philadelphia is going to get Cleveland's 22 and 24 first-round picks. So basically, Cleveland's trading 3 first-round picks to get this happening. What do you guys think about that one? Any love for that one? Does that work for everybody? What do you think, Mr. Sixers fan? What do you think about that one?
I'm not big on adding bad money. Mm-hmm. I know people are saying Ben Simmons is, a terrible contract. He has 4 years guaranteed plus a player option for all this money. I really don't know. I don't know if he plays up to the value of that contract, but I mean, John Wall, 2 years for 91 is it's a lot to stomach.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, as a Sixers fan, if that was a return, I would be extremely disappointed. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if there's a trade to be made with Cleveland. The trade I came up with was Jetty Osman, Ricky Rubio, and Darius Garland. Mm-hmm. Because at least Ricky Rubio, he's on that expiring deal. Not like we have cap space anyway. We're in the luxury tax. So even if we let him walk, we're still going to be a luxury tax team. But at least, Darius Garland or Colin Sexton, yes, that'd be the package. But at least you're not taking on all that bad money with John Wall as well. I don't love the deal I came up with just as much as I don't like the one that Keith came up with.
Yeah, see, there's just not a great deal there. But my thinking with John Wall was, they could obviously, it's a lot easier to buy out a contract that's just 2 years, left on the contract as opposed to one that's got 4 years or whatever. But, if he's going to get a buyout, then he might as well just do it with the Rockets. So I don't think it's going to work out either in that way. But the other thought I had was, if the Sixers thought maybe John Wall still had it, obviously, we've seen him play. He probably doesn't. So I'm not buying that one either, but that's the best thing I could figure out, guys. So, but anyways, Detroit. Who's got a good one for Detroit?
I think I got a decent one. Again, as a Sixers fan, I don't love it, but Detroit has enough young pieces that you could maybe get a win-now piece or two in addition to some of those young assets. So I have Ben Simmons, and then I threw in Georges Niang to make salary work for Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk, Killian Hayes, and Sadiq Bey.
Okay.
So as a Sixers fan, I'm able to tell myself, okay, we're getting Jeremy Grant back. Another Ben Simmons has shown he might be the most versatile defender in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I think he last year should have won Defensive Player of the Year, and I can't stand the guy, and I still think that. But Jeremy Grant, he's a very switchable guy. I averaged 24 points a game last year, so he's a more offensive hub than Ben Simmons is at least. You're still getting a stretch 4, stretch 5 in Olynyk to either play alongside Embiid or take the minutes when he's on the bench. And then Killian Hayes is a developmental project, and Sadiq Bey just made all-rookie first team, and he's a Villanova guy, so I'm sure the Sixers are very familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I'm kind of low on Killian Hayes myself personally, but he is a project for sure. So I'm not sure they get enough back in that. If they're really truly win now, I'm not sure if that's enough for them to get back. But like you said, it's not your favorite.
He's one of the bottom dwellers in the league. Doesn't really have a whole lot to.
Yeah, Son, it sounded like you might have had a good one or something.
Yeah, no, I actually like that one as well because my package pretty much had Grant, Killian Hayes, Corey Joseph. So I really like the inclusion of Olynyk in that one. So yeah, I think that package is definitely more palatable than the one I thought of. I just feel like I said, I just think Morey, from all indications is, like he wants a star back, right? So, who's their star? Cade Cunningham, but Detroit, they're not getting rid of Cade Cunningham, right? So, so I have a hard time seeing any type of scenario working, but yeah, I do like the Grant Hayes and Olynyk one.
You got a good one, Trey?
No, mine was almost the same as his. I just had Grant, Hayes, and Bay for Simmons. I didn't have Olynyk included. I think Olynyk's really underrated. So as a Sixers fan, it was smart of you to nab him in that trade. And I think that he'd play really well in whatever system he's in.
Yeah. Son knows my love for Kelly Olynyk. He's my secret boyfriend. That's all right. I love grabbing him in all fantasy formats. So. No, man, but I did actually have Cade Cunningham in mind, guys. I did because my thought process was if Detroit's going to trade.
One.
What's that?
I like that one as a Sixers.
He's taking that.
I'm sure you would.
Well, you're not gonna like it though. You're not gonna like it because here I'm taking the assumption that the Sixers want to win now, and I'm taking the assumption that if the Pistons are trading for Ben Simmons, they're also trying to win relatively soon. Maybe not now, but in the next few seasons. So I've got Pistons getting Ben Simmons. I've got the 76ers getting Bradley Beal, and I've got the Wizards are involved in this. They're getting Jeremy Grant and they're getting Cade Cunningham because in my scenario, this is also the Wizards. And I fully think they're going to be trying to blow it up sometime near their trade deadline because I don't think they're a good team, honestly. I think that people are kind of overrating them. So, and in this scenario, I also have the Pistons sending Philadelphia a couple of second-round picks as well. So what are your thoughts on that one, Mr. Sixers fan? I guess you're my go-to here, my sounding board.
Hey, Daryl Morey's been saying he's holding out for a star. He's been holding out for Dame Lillard, and if not Dame Lillard, then Bradley Beal. So I don't care what the Pistons do with their team. I don't care what – I care about the Sixers. So I think grabbing Bradley Beal, that's a home run.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if the Pistons would, be willing to trade Cade to get Ben Simmons, but anything that nets Bradley Beal, I'll be content with. As long as, we have Bradley Beal to pair with Embiid.
Yeah.
That's a nice duo right there.
Yeah. So I think
Dame would be even better than Bradley Beal.
I think you probably have to send the Pistons some picks somewhere in there since they were the ones sending out two players. But that's an excellent deal.
Yeah. We'll have to think about that a little bit more. But hey, I got a good one. There we go. So let's move on to Houston here. Anyone got a good one for Houston?
I mean, the one I had was, I don't know if Houston does this, but there's got to be. I guess a third team would have to be in there, but Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, KPJ. That's probably probably too much for Simmons, but I don't know. The salaries match. Obviously, I think it's fine for Philly, right? You get a up and coming point guard, a stretch big in Wood who can play alongside Embiid, but also if Embiid goes down or needs rest, he could play the 5 as well. Gordon, whatever, he could shoot, whatever, but. I don't know if Houston does that because obviously it's a lot to give up. So maybe if a third team could get in there, maybe give them some more. But yeah, that was the most appealing one that I saw.
Anyone got a better one?
I had if that's the high end offer for Houston, I've got the low end offer for Houston that's similar to that. I've got Gordon, DJ Augustine, KPJ, Usman Garuba, who is supposed to maybe develop into a poor man's Draymond, and then a first-round pick next year.
Okay.
You keep Wood, you keep Green, you keep Şengün, you'd add Simmons.
I don't really get the Houston desire to have Ben Simmons on the squad. They have such young. No one's really in a going to be developing in the next 2 or 3 seasons to be a star or anything like that. So it's kind of a weird fit. But go ahead. Do you have anything, Steven?
Yeah, I was going to say if Houston wanted Ben Simmons, they had a good offer for Ben Simmons and took the offer for Harden instead that the Nets gave. figuring I guess more bites at the apple. They're getting 4 firsts and 3 swaps. And they could have had Chris LeVert and Jared Allen. Instead, they took Oladipo, which obviously is a disaster. But I guess they wanted the cap flexibility, knowing Oladipo would probably walk rather than having LeVert locked up and knowing they'd have to pay Jared Allen. But they could have had Ben Simmons, and they didn't want him. I think Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey or Thibault with the first and swaps is a better offer than what the Nets gave. Yeah. So I don't know how much Houston wants to, deal with Morey and bail him out, but they don't want to give Morey Harden, it seems like. Now that they're getting the best player on the trade, maybe the tables have turned a little bit. I ended up coming up with Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, Danuel House, and probably a pick or two, which I don't think Houston's in position to give up any picks. They're completely building from the ground up. I don't think they would want to give up. Even if the pick's protected, I don't know how interested the Sixers would be in a protected pick from them because it's not going to convey for years. But, yeah, I didn't want to include a John Wall because, as I said, I don't think Daryl's going to want to take on bad money. Yeah. So that was the best thing I was able to come up with for them.
Well, the Rockets, and this stuff is always so fluid because you've got protections and everything like that, but the Rockets do have 2 first-round picks next year and then 2 the following year in 2023 also. So they do have some picks to play with if they'd like to, and if you're going to get Ben Simmons, I don't think he really turned it down. I know whatever reservations you have about Ben, like you said, he's very versatile defender, which is very important to his NBA. And if he can just get the jump shot worked out, he can be a very special player. So I don't know. I think they might part with some of those picks. But you guys have better trades than me. Let's move on to Indiana, the Pacers. Who's got a good one? Anyone got a good one for Indiana?
I actually have a 4-teamer.
Okay, 4-teamer. Let's go.
And I don't know. It's always
I like it.
It's always get everyone to agree on a 4-teamer. I know I tweeted this before, and some Pacers fans were like, "Oh, what the hell, man? I don't like this." So we'll see. But I have the Pacers getting Ben Simmons, Harrison Barnes, and Shake Milton. I have the Sixers getting Chris LeVert, Malcolm Brogdon, and a first-rounder from Indiana. I have the Kings getting DJ Augustine and Domantas Sabonis. Just because I don't know how well Sabonis, Turner, and Simmons all fit together. So I figured let's trade one of them. And then Marvin Bagley going to Houston.
Okay. Marvin Bagley going to Houston.
Pacers fans were like, oh, we're giving up a 2-time All-Star Sabonis and LeVert and Brogdon, and we're only getting Ben Simmons, Harrison Barnes, and Shake Milton. But they're getting potentially the best player in the entire deal. They're getting Harrison Barnes, who he's not better than Malcolm Brogdon or Chris LeVert, but he's definitely more durable. You're getting 2 injury-prone players to getting somebody who what you have in Harrison Barnes.
I think the Pacers fans are really just big on Sabonis. That's probably where the sticking point was. I actually had the other Pacer in this. Let me scroll down there. I had Mr. Miles Turner because they have to get one of those rid of one of those big men if they're going to trade for Ben Simmons because that spacing is just not going to work. So I actually have a 3-teamer. I have the Pacers are getting Ben Simmons, and that's it. They're just getting Ben Simmons. The 76ers are getting Porzingis and Malcolm Brogdon. So 76ers are getting Porzingis and Brogdon for Simmons. And then the Mavericks are getting Miles Turner, and they're getting Seth Curry and Isaiah Joe. And Dallas is sending a 2022 first-round pick to Philadelphia also. I love the pairing. I think Miles Turner would be fantastic on the Mavericks. And I think Porzingis is probably undervalued on the Mavericks, but I could see him being a stretch 4 next to Embiid on the Sixers. And of course, Brogdon, obviously, they need to get a point guard back in any deals if they want to compete now. So what do you guys think about that? Is that a good one? Or?
I like it, but what's the combined over-under on the number of games KP and Embiid play together?
It's a good question because they're both going to play probably 50, 60 games. I don't know, but
you get one starting center out of the 2.
Yeah. Well, they also get a first-round pick, though, so I don't know. I guess that there is some risk there involved, but Ben Simmons doesn't want to play for the Sixers, so.
You guys got a lot more creative than I did.
Yeah.
I also questioned whether Simmons, Sabonis, and Turner could play together, especially Sabonis. Turner's actually got a decent 3-point shot, so I would just went Sabonis and Warren for Simmons. Giving up Sabonis, he's a better player than Brogdon. So instead of adding LeVert in there, I put Warren. You could also do Sabonis and LeVert. It works cap wise also. I'm with Gel on that. I don't see a fit of those three together in Indiana.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Minnesota. What about a good one from Minnesota? Who's got one? I've got another 3-teamer.
Nice.
Of course, I've got a million of them. But anyways, no. So this is the Sixers, Minnesota, and the Trailblazers are in it too. And you'll like this one, Mr. Steven Bagell. The Sixers get Damian Lillard, so they get their big
I
prize.
was doing something similar.
Yeah. Oh, were you? Okay, cool. So Timberwolves get obviously Ben Simmons. So there's just basically a swap there. And then the Trailblazers are getting Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly to make the salary work, Jaden McDaniels, and Naz Reid, or is it Jalen McDaniels? One of the McDaniels and Naz Reid. So they're getting a bunch of young players, and they're also going to get Minnesota is going to be sending 2 first-round picks to Portland in this one also. So this is assuming that the Portland Trailblazers are saying, okay, so this might happen closer to the deadline, but they're saying, hey, Dame's time is up. No more Dame time. Past Dame time now. We're blowing this up and we're rebuilding. They're getting a bunch of first-round picks and some young talent. Beasley's only 24, I think. McDaniel's obviously 23 or 22, somewhere in there. Naz Reid, I think, is a young big that's pretty talented. Minnesota and Philadelphia are also doing a pick swap. The rights are for a pick swapper for Philadelphia. What do you guys think about that one? Obviously, Mr. Steven Bagell, you like that one because you get Dame Lillard, right?
Of course.
So
that's a lot. That was just a lot to take. That man, that's the goal though, is to get Dame or Beal. That's more the end goal. Yeah.
Well, it definitely works. It works for the Timberwolves because they've stated they don't want to get rid of Anthony Edwards. They don't want to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns. And then who else would they say? Oh, D'Angelo Russell. Yeah, they don't want to get rid of D'Angelo Russell. So they don't have to get rid of any of those guys. What they're giving is they're giving a lot of draft. Because if you don't get rid of those guys, you got to get rid of draft capital. So that was my best one for the Timberwolves. Let's go on to, though. I think Portland's probably a little bit more enticing. So Portland, guys, I want each of your best takes. Son, what do you got, man, for Portland?
Yeah, man, I don't think they're gonna be able to get Dame, at least until the trade deadline, right? Because I just don't see why Portland is gonna get rid of Dame now. Like, they want to see what they have here. They're gonna run it, and they're gonna see how it fits. If they don't perform up to expectations, then I think towards the trade deadline, then there's gonna be a lot of interested parties, right? And I think they'll get more value for him then. So yeah, I just don't see Dame moving at this time.
What do you think, Mr. Trey?
I've just got McCollum, and then maybe their 22 first and their 23rd first. You could do a swap for that one. I also don't see Dame going anywhere unless he just asks. They start terribly, maybe they're 5-17, and Dame says, "Look, I got to get out of here."
Yeah.
But other than that, I just don't see it. I think the McCollum Ben Simmons swap that everyone's been talking about for months now, it makes sense, and it's the most likely Portland trade in my eyes.
Who plays point guard for the Sixers if they get McCollum there, Steven? Is it Maxey? Or, is Maxey going to go out on a deal, you think? Or
I think Maxey would only go out in a deal if it were for Dame. So I think if it's CJ, I think we're pretty spot on saying it'd be CJ and a first for Ben. Or if, it would be Dame, it would probably be Ben, Maxey, Thibault, plus a pick and probably a swap or two. So I think if it's just CJ, I think it would probably be Maxey starting at point, CJ playing off ball, and Seth Curry coming off the bench. Just because it's such a small front court, or such a small backcourt, if you have CJ and Seth Curry playing together, Maxey and Seth is already small enough.
Right.
But so I just think it'd be such a defensive liability on a team that, they have a defensive identity. Obviously, with Ben and Embiid and Thibault, that's 3 All-NBA defenders last year. Mm-hmm. So I think that would, kind of be detrimental to the defense.
Yeah, I'm big on Thibault, man. I think he's a nice role player. He's not going to be a star or anything like that, but I like him a lot. So do you have a better one for the Trailblazers or?
The Trailblazers is the one I just said. It would be Dame for Ben Simmons, Maxey, Thibault, a first, and probably a swap or two. I think Dame, closer to the trade deadline, is gonna, put in that formal trade request. He kind of has dropped hints saying, I want to see what Portland does this year before, making any decisions on my future. And Portland couldn't even go into the luxury tax for one. They signed Norman Powell, to an $80 million deal. But other than that, they just did a few things around the edges. The Cody Zellas, the Tony Snells. They didn't really make that huge move that showed Dame, look, we are committed to winning. They just retained the same guys that Dame isn't satisfied with and didn't even, wasn't even willing to go into the luxury tax to prove that to him. Mm-hmm. So I think the writing's on the wall for Dame and Portland. I just think it's going to, as Trey said, maybe they start the year like 5-12 or something. Maybe not that bad, but even if they're like 8-9, 8-10, Dame's going to practice every day seeing these guys, and he's like, you know what? I'm really not going to get it done with these guys. As much as I love the city here, as much as I want to win here, it's not going to work.
So, Trailblazers, and how do you guys think about this, or feel about this, I should say? According to Stephen A. Smith of ESPN, there was already a deal on the table at the Portland Trailblazers I thought was pretty darn good. This is why I put my plus 1,000 bet down. They offered C.J. McCollum, Robert Covington, and a 2024 or a first-round pick. There wasn't specified which first-round pick. I think that's decent. I ran it through the ESPN trade machine. The salaries didn't work, so you have to throw about $2 million in salary on the Sixers side of that. So they've got like Jaden Springer down there, who's a rookie. If they're trying to win now with McCollum and all that, then they might not necessarily need him. So I threw him in here. But C.J. McCollum and Robert Covington and a first-round pick. That's a pretty good haul for Simmons, don't you think?
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, I think Trey was kind of on that same route as well, right? So
Covington's a nice asset to add in there.
And Covington would help with that defense you lose from Ben. He's a great off-ball defender, even though Ben's a better on-ball guy. But figure you put Covington at the 3 alongside Tobias and Embiid, shift Danny Green over to the 2, Maxey starts a point guard, and then you bring Seth Curry off the bench. So you avoid that small backcourt I was just talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Covington's pretty underrated as far as basketball goes because he doesn't put up those flashy stats. Okay, let's lump these last 3 together just based on time here. Sacramento, San Antonio, Toronto. Each of you give me your best trade here with one of these 3 teams. Who do you like, Trey?
I've got 3 teams: Sacramento, Buddy Hield, and Davion Mitchell. Okay,
Davion Mitchell and Buddy Hield.
You get a defensive guard with Mitchell. You get Buddy Hield, who is one of the top 5-10 best 3-point shooters in the league. I thought it was a good haul. That was one of my favorite ones that I came up with.
Yeah, I don't mind it. What do you got, Steven?
I actually had for Sacramento Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton, so I was on a similar trajectory as Trey. I just think Halliburton, has a much higher ceiling than Davion Mitchell. And for that reason, that's why I did that. My favorite one, though, I don't think Masai Ujiri would do it, but I have Toronto, Ben Simmons, and we'd give them a first as well for Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby.
Nice.
Everyone's expecting OG Anunoby to take that huge step this year. Fred VanVleet, as I know I keep talking about having a small guard next to Seth Curry, but I think that'd be an awesome haul for the Sixers to get. I don't even think Toronto would do it, so that's more wishful thinking as a Sixers fan.
Yeah, well, I actually have that same one, so I don't think you're far off, man. I think it's it makes sense to me. Like you said, I'm not a Toronto fan, so but anyways, Son, what do you got over there?
Yeah, I'm on a similar tip. At first I was like, Fox and Bagley, but I just don't think because I think Moore is gonna want like Fox, right? Like that's what he's gonna shoot for. I just don't see Sacramento, going to that. So, I'm with either Halliburton or Devin Fox. It just. Either one, I think, is with Fields is definitely interchangeable. It's just a matter of which way they want to go. So I really like both of those. Toronto, I was on the Fred VanVleet tip too. I just don't think OG. I couldn't put OG in there. I just don't see Masai getting rid of him. Like he's about to break out. He's gonna want a haul for him. Yeah, I just don't see that. But I could see Fred VanVleet in some sort of package there. So I'm on that tip. It's just a matter of what other pieces you could go around him because Malachi Flynn, some say he's a VanVleet clone, right? So so it'll be interesting. But OG, there's no way. There's no way he's getting rid of OG.
No, OG is he's looking so great this preseason. But no, I think Fred VanVleet is very very intriguing over there on the Sixers. I got one here for San Antonio. Actually, this is kind of one of my favorite ones of these last 3 teams. I don't know if San Antonio is going to want to give up this much. I don't think they would. My heart tells me no. But they get Ben Simmons, and they give the Sixers, it's just between these two. They give the Sixers Dejante Murray, Derek White, and Keldon Johnson. And, the Philadelphia 76ers can maybe flip them a first-rounder or a couple second-rounders or something just to make it a little bit more even. I think Derek White's, Don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I'll say that much. I know in fantasy, I'm looking to grab him pretty much everywhere. Dejante Murray, I think, I don't know if he has necessarily a high ceiling, and he does have those shooting issues, just like kind of Ben Simmons does. But I think he's a pretty darn good player. And then Keldon Johnson, they're just throwing this in. I think he's got a lot of promise. So I don't know. Is that giving up too much for Ben Simmons? Probably, probably too much at this point. But no, that's cool, man. What Ben Simmons needs, guys, is he needs some confidence. And you know how he can get some confidence? Manscaped. So listeners, watchers, whoever you are out there, unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They've made it easy for you to upgrade your grooming routine. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code HoopBall20 at manscaped.com, guys. That's HoopBall20. A little bit of Manscaped action, guys. No, it's awesome. I actually kind of wanted to turn our attention that we did get a few comments here. Trey, you said you're able to put those up on the board, right?
Yeah. Did you just want me to start at the top?
Yeah, let's get that top one from Mr. Native Sun Gardens there. He says, "Cheers. I'm curious, y'all's summation of the quality of this year's draft compared to the last few. What do you guys think? Anyone got an opinion about that one?"
As I've told you guys, I am a pretty big college basketball and NBA draft guy.
Right.
I typically don't really get into the draft around Christmas time. Once these guys are starting to do conference play and they'll acclimate more to the college teams, that's when I really start digging into the draft. So I don't know if I could attest to how deep it is compared to previous years. But what I can say is that it's not at the top like it was this year with Cade and Evan Mobley and Jalen Suggs and Scotty Barnes and Jalen Green. I mean, I think all five of those guys, or at least four of them, would be the number one pick this year. Well, you have Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren probably at the top, and Jalen Hardy probably as well. So it's not as deep at the top, I would say, from what I know.
So you don't think, you don't think there's as many like all stars as other draft classes, basically, but there's going to be more role players. Is that kind of more, kind of like what you're saying, or?
I would say there's not as much star power in this draft as there's no Zion Williamson, there's no John Morant, there's not even I don't think a Jalen Suggs or Jalen Green. So yeah. I mean, I like Paolo Banchero a lot. He's a big man who could stretch the floor, handle a little bit pass at 6'11". He's going to be awesome for Duke. Chet Holmgren, I think, needs to gain 40 pounds. Otherwise, he's not going to be more than Kristaps Porzingis. But so that's what I would say is that there's definitely not that star-powered. And we talked about that with the Anthony Edwards and the Melo Ball draft class, that, this draft class is weak because there's no star at the top.
So quite a few pretty good players in there, obviously.
That class ended up being really deep. So
this draft, it's got 4 of the top 5 guys are going to be bigs in the league, which I think is unique compared to the last few drafts. Other than the top 5 or 6, though, I think it really thins out compared to these last few drafts. I don't think you're going to find as many role players. Like I think this last year with Kate Cunningham, like Josh Christopher went somewhere in the 40s. Sharif Cooper for the Hawks went. You're not getting that kind of value in this upcoming draft. But if you need a big, this might be the year that you look into trading up, because there's 4 guys that are 6'10" or bigger that I think are going to be all-star to starting caliber guys on a good team.
Mike getting out my BS here. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's good, man. I like it. Let's throw up Mr. Sean Lawler's comment here. Mr. Sean Lawler says Raptors win the Atlantic. That's his bold take.
I think he's a Raptors fan, guys.
You think he's a Raptors fan? Do you know this or do you think this?
I know this. He is a Raptors fan. Oh yeah.
I think we're both
big
on
Scotty Barnes. He is.
He's big,
he loves Scotty Barnes. He loves how he's acclimated to the city. So he's drinking that Kool-Aid. Are you guys drinking the Raptors Kool-Aid?
I don't know if I'm drinking it that hard, Mr. Sean, but no, I think we're both riding that over on their win totals. So I think we're both Trey and I are both pretty high on them. What do you guys think?
The over-under was 35. What do you guys think on their over-under?
What did you say it was? 35?
35, I believe. I had them at 38 wins.
It's hard to go under. I think I would just stay away from it because I think they're going to hit about 36-ish wins.
Yeah, 35.5.
So I bet over because I can't bet under with how well coached they are. Masai Ujiri. But, I mean, Siakam is missing, at least the first 20, 25 games of the year. Yeah. Chris Boucher is starting the year hurt. I do think OG takes a step. I think Scotty Barnes is going to have to play through his rookie mistakes while Siakam is out. And he's probably starting. So I don't know. I'm skeptical because, as I said, the starting the year hurts. And then Kyle Lowry is gone, and that's a big loss.
Yeah.
So
we talked about that a little bit before. I think Fred VanVleet is totally ready to do. I mean, he did last season. Kyle Lowry didn't play a whole lot, and Fred VanVleet pretty much is a similar player. I mean, there are some things that he's not as good at as Kyle Lowry. Some things he's better at. I think Fred VanVleet's the better player right now. I think Kyle Lowry's decidedly on the downside trajectory of his career. I know we've talked about the Heat obtaining Kyle Lowry. I don't think it's that big of a boon to them, honestly. So I'm not as high on the Heat as other people are. But Sonia, any thoughts about the Raptors or the Heat, I guess?
Yeah, for the Raptors, I think it's going to take some time, right? Because there's a lot of the situation is new. And, I saw a quote over the summer, VanVleet, like kind of describing the struggles that Siakam had. He's basically saying there's a hierarchy, right? So Siakam, he got elevated into a role, but, he's trying to be the alpha dog, but Kyle Lowry was still there. So, he didn't get into that comfort zone, right? So this year, he's going to be in that role, but, he's missing 20 games, right? And then VanVleet's going to be in that role. So not only is Siakam missing games, but then when he comes back, it's going to take time for them to gel. Things of that nature, Scotty Barnes, your rookie, so it's going to take him to adjust to the team. So I just think there's going to be some, time for, just getting everyone getting used to each other. So that in of itself, is going to knock down some win for them. But I do think the numbers is a pretty sharp line. There's really no edge to go, either way. Just a lot of unknown, a lot of time that's going to be taken.
Well, I think one intangible, I don't know if you guys mentioned this or not, but one intangible we're not really taking into much account is that, they played every single game as an away game last season. Yeah.
True.
So that's another thing. I think if I recall, one of their players I remember seeing on Twitter has much better home games than away games. It might have been OG or it might have been Pascal. But anyways, so that's another thing just to kind of take into account there. But Trey and I are both riding that over. That's it for the comments. But we're going to move on now, guys, to our we've got NBA games in a few days here, on the 19th of October. So I wanted to just kind of review those games, see where you guys lean on there. If you guys feel strongly enough about them, feel free to place a bet on this show. Obviously, we're just using some credits on the show here. But, man, the 19th of October, we've got Nets at Bucks at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't have the lines up here, but who are you leaning to there, Mr. Trey? You leaning either way on the Nets and Bucks?
I believe it's the Bucks. Was it Bucks +1?
I saw -1.
-1. Okay. Yeah, you're right. No,
yeah, it started even, and I think I don't think you can play that
-1.
spread really. So you might as well just take the money line. So go ahead.
Right now, it's Bucks -1 on ESPN.
Yeah, I like the Bucks for the first game. I also like the Warriors +4. I think the Lakers have shown that it's going to take them a little while to gel, and I think the Warriors with Steph Curry and Poole are coming out to kind of prove that they missed the playoffs last year, but they're right in the thick of it this year.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same tip too. The Lakers defense, especially the perimeter defense, significantly degraded this year. They went for more shooting. And then, there's a lot of new pieces, so it's going to take time. And like you said, Curry, I mean, he hits 1 3, 2 threes, right? Then the spread is toast. So, yeah, I like the +4.5 as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about the Warriors-Lakers there.
Yeah, Warriors-Lakers. Yeah,
10 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Lakers win that one. The money line there on my bookies at -170. The spread's -4 for the Lakers. For the Nets Bucks, I don't know, man. It's who's going to win that game? Who knows? I mean, Kyrie being out might make me lean a little bit towards the Bucks, but the Bucks might have that hangover from playing so long into the offseason and winning a championship, and it's going to be a ring night, I'm sure. So I don't know. I'm staying away. I'm not betting either side of that. But it's going to be a good game. I'm excited to see that open. Any thoughts there, Mr. Steven Bagell, about either of those games, Warriors, Lakers, or Nets, Bucks?
Nets, Bucks, I don't have much. It's the same thing you said. It's honestly, that's why it's going from +1 to -1. It's basically a pick. So that one, I'm really not sure. I do like the Warriors +4, +4.5, whatever it is, depending what sportsbook you look at, because the Lakers already had injuries. And I've had a guest on the NBAgell that has said the only thing stopping Lakers this year is going to be osteoporosis. I mean, the Lakers are so old. Trevor Ariza is already out. Taylor Horton-Tucker, who's 20 years old, the youngest guy on the team, he just had surgery. Wayne Ellington just got an injury. So, like, their depth is already, like, on life support, and the season hasn't started yet. So, for that reason, I would go Golden State. There is one game I do like on the 20th. So, are we going to get into that?
Yeah. Let's move on. We got our BSBP locks, guys. Let's get our locks in. Anything that you guys like, I'll let you start, Steven. But anything you guys like between the 19th and the 20th games, or if it's futures, or if it's player props, whatever you see out there, throw it at me, man. What do you got?
Okay, there's two I like. The first one, do we know if Jaylen Brown is playing on opening night, given he has COVID?
They haven't said yet.
They haven't said
yet.
If Jaylen Brown plays, I'm sure the line would obviously shift then. Even without him, I still think I like the Celtics +1 against the Knicks on the 20th.
Yeah.
The Knicks, I know they were the 4 seed last year, and Julius Randle had this All-NBA second-team campaign. Regression is bound to happen. I know RJ Barrett should be better than he was last year, but Julius Randle will never be that good again. Derrick Rose, I don't think will ever be that good again. Kemba Walker, I think, is going to regress as well. If, he already had a pretty bad year last year. So I just think the Celtics are a better team, and I like them I like the Celtics +1, even if Jaylen Brown doesn't play. The other, there's a future I like as well, and that's Terrence Mann winning Most Improved Player.
Nice.
I believe I looked on FanDuel because sports betting is now legal in PA, so that's the sports book I use.
Perfect.
And I believe it's +4,500 right now.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Sexy odds.
Given how well he played in the playoffs last year after Kawhi went down, I think he's going to be the clear number 2 on that team behind Paul George, even if he comes off the bench. I don't want to bet him 6th man of the year because I think he's going to end up starting too many games. But I do love Terrence Mann at +4,500 to win Most Improved Player.
Fair enough. All right, Mr. Trey, you got any locks for us, man?
I've got a 4-team tease that I'm going to put a unit on. It's going to move it's a 4-point tease, so it's going to make the Bulls +1 over the Pistons.
Okay.
You've got the Wolves -0.5 point against the Rockets.
Okay.
You've got the Blazers -1.5 points over the Kings, so they have to win by 2. And you've got the 76ers +0.5 point against the Pelicans.
All right.
And so I'll bet a unit to win 2.35 units.
2.35. Okay, I was wondering what the odds were there. Okay, fantastic. Any other locks you got for us?
That's the only one I've got. I've still got the Bulls +2.5, but
yeah,
it's moved already. So that's the one that I'm actually placing a bet on.
Okay. And Son, what do you got, man? You see anything you like out there?
Yeah, I really like the Bulls -3. I also like the Philly -3, but it's gone up to 3.5. At least that's on the DraftKings sportsbook. And the Warriors, I really like the +4.5. Even though I'm a Lakers fan, so I kind of feel gross on that. But yeah, those are the three games that stood out to me.
All right, fantastic, man. And I'm actually playing a couple of unders on points totals. I'm more of a props guy, but props aren't available to me right now. I'm in Kansas and I can't go to like DraftKings or whatever. But anyways, I've got some unders on the points totals. I've got Pacers Hornets under 228.5 total points, and I'm playing that at -110, 1.1 unit to win 1 unit. Pacers and Hornets are both struggling in the preseason to score the basketball. The Pacers are scoring 104 per game, and the Hornets are scoring 93.3 per game in the preseason. And it might not take into account this line, the fact that LeVert and TJ Warren are going to be out, and they're out with injuries. So, Pacers scored a shade over a 115 per game last season. Hornets scored a shade over 109. So it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, I feel like. And I think Terry Rozier will play. But Gordon Hayward's a little less likely because he is in the health and safety protocol. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to suit up for their first game. So that'll help my under bet there a little bit too. So I've got Pacers Hornets under 228.5 total points. I've also got Sixers Pelicans under 227.5 total points. I'm playing that at -110, 1.1 unit to win 1 unit. Pelicans, another team just struggling to score in this preseason. They're 99.8 points per game in the preseason. And I struggle to see, guys, how the Pelicans are going to be successful or be able to initiate their offense at all without Zion Williamson. They're kind of relying on him to play that point forward role because they don't really have a great point guard or penetrating guard on their team. So, who knows how long Zion's out for? I think it's going to be a struggle for them without it. And then Sixers, I'm assuming Ben Simmons isn't going to play. I still think it doesn't really matter, though, because, the Sixers are fine on offense without Ben Simmons. They've been middle of the pack in pace, though, without Ben Simmons in this preseason. And then last season, they're about 12th. So they're 15th in preseason this season. And they were 12th during the regular season last season with Ben Simmons. So a little bit of slower pace. I think that might help my under a little bit, too. So those are the two ones I'm riding there. Sixers, Pelicans under 227.5. Pacers, Hornets under 228.5. And I also asked you guys, before we got on here, to find a really fun bet. We're going to do our first ever free play. There you go. A little free play action here on BSBP. I'll give you guys one free unit here to throw on a parlay that's plus 1,000 or better, I guess, or worse odds. I don't know how you want to call that. But in these opening games, it can be a same game parlay. It can be multiple game outcomes. So what do you guys got? Mr. Trey, what do you got there?
So instead of doing the 4-team teaser, if I get the 76ers minus 3.5, the Warriors plus 4, the Bulls minus 3, the Timberwolves minus 4.5, and the Blazers minus 5.5, all to cover, that's plus 2,400 odds.
All right.
So I'm banking on those 5 teams to all cover.
Okay. You got anything for us, Steven?
Do you want to come back to me? I must have missed that part on the.
No worries. No worries.
I'll put one together right now for you guys.
Okay. All right. He's on the spot, man. That's impressive.
Nice.
All right. It's a free play anyways. Don't worry. Throw it at whatever, man. Get plus 5,000 million odds. It doesn't matter. All right. Son, what do you got?
Yeah, I had the Sixers minus 3, 3.5, Bucks minus 1, Bulls minus 3, Lakers plus 4.5. So that's plus 1258 for the 4 game.
All right.
Okay, I got one now.
Okay, go ahead, man.
So I'm going to do my Celtics plus 1, like I was saying, and then I'm going to combine that with the Magic money line against San Antonio. I think, when both teams aren't that great, I like just betting the dog and say, hey, they're going to have to win eventually. These teams are still going to win about 20-plus games, so why not against a team like San Antonio? And then I'm going to do the same thing with Houston against Minnesota, where I actually am pretty high on Minnesota this year, but Jalen Green, I think, will be more ready than most rookies are, given that he played in the G League as opposed to college. And I could just see Houston coming out, and I think Steven Silas is the most underrated coach in the NBA. I could see them coming out and just playing well against a team that, they just fired their GM. There's still questions on whether they're going to trade for Ben Simmons or not. And, yeah, so I'm playing with house money, so why not?
Why not? That's right. Cool, man. That's awesome, man. I've got a 6-leg parlay. I went a little overboard here, just like I always do. I got Lakers over Golden State Warriors as the money line there. I've got Bulls minus 3 over Pistons because I'm a homer, so it's just what it is. I've got Sixers minus 3.5 over the Pels because, again, Zion Williamson out. I just don't know how that team's going to score. I've got Minnesota money line over the Rockets, and then I've got OKC plus 11.5 against Utah. OKC, I think they're going to be better than people give them credit for. They sit a lot of people at the end of the season. People forget that they're actually about a 500 team, and the Jazz two of the last 3 seasons, their opening game, they won all of them, I think, all 3. But they were pretty close games, 6-7 points. So I'm going OKC plus 11.5 to cover there. And I'm also going Nuggets plus 6.5 up against the Phoenix Suns. I think even without Jamal Murray, the Nuggets are going to be just fine with Jokic and all that. So I don't know who wins that game, but I think Denver can cover that plus 6.5. So altogether, that's a plus 3,053 odds. I'm putting my little free unit there to win some bonus odds there. So.
Make it rain.
Awesome.
Make it rain.
Make it rain. Make it rain. That's what I do. Man, I love it, man. Yeah. Hey, listeners, watchers, whoever you are out there, if you like our locks, you can get access to those and many more from the fantastic bettors over at Hoopball by signing up for Hoopball's Wager Pass. That's just $14.99 a month. You can get access to all the calls of every single Hoopball capper. And, guys, you get access to them via Discord to discuss breaking news as it happens in real time. whatever bets you got going on, fantasy questions. I mean, you got to get the fantasy pass for that, but you get the point. You get to talk to people. Just go to hoopball.com. That's hoop-ball.com, and let them know that Keith and Trey from BSBP sent you, so they can go, who are those people? No, they love us over there. So anyways, guys, we're going to sign off here, but before we do, I got one more question for you guys. I kind of threw it at the end here. You probably didn't have a lot of time to think about it. Off the cuff, Kyrie Irving, over under 42 games played. What do you got, Trey? Trey.
Under. I got the under.
You got the under.
I got
42.
the under.
Okay, good. Son, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the under.
Taking the under? What do you got there?
I might take the under even if he was vaccinated and he wasn't sitting out.
Right.
The fact that
I'm calling BS. I don't want to use a BS, so I'm using my BS. I'm calling BS on all of you. I'm going over 42. Boom. That's our gentleman's bet. You guys are going to be locked into that bet now.
Is that because he gets traded or because he gets vaccinated?
No, I think he's going to get vaccinated. I think he's $150 million extension pulled off the table. That's a lot of money, man, even if you're Kyrie Irving. So I'm willing to take a wash on this, but no, I think he's going to play about maybe 50, 55, maybe even 60 games. I think he might be in that range. So it's all good, man. But hey, that's going to do it for us, guys. That's our season opener special, man. That's awesome. I want to thank Son and Steven for joining us, guys. You guys are just great guests, man. I hope we can have you back on. Hope you guys had fun. Yeah. And guys, if you're out there watching, listening, hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to get updates for new shows as they drop. And please leave us a review, especially on iTunes. Just give us that little 5 stars. It means so much to us right now, man. Trying to get discovered, trying to get more people to listen in, watch, and all that. So, know you're listening. Just go do it. It takes 2 minutes. I'm Keith Cork. You can find me on Twitter at BSBP. That's BSBP Keith, at BSBP Keith. Trey, where can the people find you?
I'm on Twitter at finally.
All right, and Steven, Son, where can people find you?
At STAN_son. I just want to say thanks for having me on. It was great, meeting you guys. It was really, had a good time just talking to hoops and things like that.
Absolutely, man. Well, I hope we have you on again. And Steven, where can people find you?
You could find me on Twitter at _NBAgell. That's NBAGELL. Listen to the NBAgell podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and listen to Bird Rights, which is actually a hoopball podcast that will be starting. Hopefully the launch will be sometime next week, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, again, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Hope to have you on also again. So, and don't forget to follow the show's Twitter account, guys, at BSBP_NBA. We're going to start dropping shows midweek now that the season is going to be starting during the daytime. So just be on the lookout for those. But we're going to see you all back here next weekend for some more BSBP fun. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
All right, later, guys.
See you later.